junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we always here celebrating the magic of movies and physical media with you. Now, every now and then, a sequel comes along where I find it to be better than the first movie. Doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen every now and then. And that is no truer than today's film, 1993's Wayne's World 2. And this is one where I feel like I'm alone on this one. Maybe because the sequel is sillier, more playful than the first one was. I'm not entirely sure, but I've watched Wayne's World 2 more often than I have Wayne's World. I think it does have better energy and takes a lot of pulp culture at the time and spun it, making it a spoof. And I love the ending spoofing The Graduate while they're trying to put together Wayne stock. Chris Farley always stole the show every time he was on screen, as he does with every movie he's in. Now in 2017, Paramount released Wayne's Worlds on Blu-ray, and a year later, this double feature Blu-ray that obviously I still have. Now I always thought the Blu-ray presentation of Wayne's World 2, and the first one also, looked pretty good for the most part. Well, now in 2025, Kino Lorber jumps into the world of Wayne with Wayne's World 2 on 4K UHD, sourced from a 4K scan of the original 35mm negative, forming a 4K DI with HDR10 Dolby Vision grading and a theatrical ratio of 1:85:1, when the Paramount Blu-ray was framed at 1:7:8:1. Alright guys, let's party on with a closer look at Wayne's World 2 on 4K UHD from Kino Lorber against Paramount Pictures' Blu-ray release, and let's see why this 4K is worth the upgrade. Wayne's World 2 on 4K UHD looks incredible. The HDR10 Dolby Vision grading isn't overly aggressive and is used just enough, used just right to give a wider color gamut to the image, and opens up the colors, allowing them to breathe more with outstanding primaries that all really pops off the screen. Saturation is also handled much better here on this 4K, keeping colors looking well balanced out and natural, while also giving extra life and a little bit of extra punch within the colors, allowing for more nuances within the color ranges to come to life. The saturation also helps in giving a naturally warm skin tones and image. Contrast is also used better here on this 4K, especially daylight scenes, compared to the Blu-ray, where some of the daylight scenes looked a little overly exposed. And it also helps with darkly lit or night scenes, especially if light sources are involved. Now the black levels on the Blu-ray, honestly I thought were handled pretty well. I didn't notice any kind of egregious crushing out details, and I didn't notice much bright or grayish blacks. But what the HDR10 Dolby Vision grading does with this 4K is it enhances the black levels, looking even more solid and deeper, allowing more depth and information to come through even in the darkest corners of the frame. This isn't a night and day difference with the black levels, but it's definitely a nice improvement here. The image quality is fantastic, and with the higher 21p resolution, giving more finer lines, details look sharp and clear as it can be. There is also much more depth and three-dimensionality than I've seen before on any home video release. A really good example of this is in Wayne's Loft. It feels much more open and spacious now, along with a much more lifelike imagery throughout the presentation, where the Blu-ray had a pretty flat and, I want to say, lifeless looking image. I also did notice that the quality can dip a little bit around optical effects and subtitles. I noticed this especially with the Kung Fu fight and also a couple other areas, but this is all inherited from the source material and is not a problem with the 4K transfer. And for a 30-plus-year-old film, this is just to be expected. The 4K scan has been cleaned up with the image ridding of speckling, scratches, yellow splotches, while retaining all inherited imperfections from the negative intact. Now I think one of the biggest issues with the Blu-ray was the overuse of grain reduction with a DNR scrubbing, creating very flat and lifeless imagery and some really nasty looking waxy skin tones. The 4K scan no longer has this issue. Wayne's World 2 on 4K has a very nice and natural looking 35mm grain field that gives a great filmic appearance. Alright guys, now let's dive into the audio presentation, and it does have both DTS stereo and 5.1 tracks. The Blu-ray, I noticed, had a Dolby True 5.1 track that sounded pretty lackluster. I was never happy with the sound on this. The remastered 5.1 track on the Kino Lorber 4K sounds much better, more open and active, especially during the concert scenes, the kung fu fight scene. All the sound effects sound fantastic throughout the film, with a lot more of surround activity, giving a truer 360 degrees soundscape. And the use of the rock and pop tracks sound more open with higher fidelity. The ending with Wayne's stock rocks the soundscape with some excellent usage of some nice low ends and carrying some nice weight with the bass levels. This is a great sounding 5.1 mix. Wayne's World on 4K UHD from Kino Lorber is a notable improvement over the very lackluster, flat-looking Blu-ray from Paramount, and is definitely worth upgrading to, or if you don't already own it, definitely add this 4K to your collection. Well guys, do me a huge favor, head over to the comments section and let me know your thoughts when you look at the differences between the two formats, the 4K UHD from Kino Lorber and Paramount's previous Blu-ray release. Which do you like better? Or do you see much difference at all? Head over to the comments section and let me know. As always guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes here as we dive into the Wayne's of World with Wayne's World 2 and comparing it to the previous Paramount Blu-ray release. As always guys, keep physical media alive and stay tuned for another 4K versus Blu-ray comparison. Do you like it when I do that? I have to point at you. I don't know why I do that.
Twin Flicks presents 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons.